Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lora Rolling and this is part 1 of the Gingerbread Man ornament tutorial. This is the Gingerbread Man ornament that we are making. It is so cute with all the little gingerbread men and the candy. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. And today we're going to be making the unit called Peppermint Sweets. We just have a few materials to get ready, so let's get them listed and then we can get started. Let's go! So the beads that we're going to be using in today's video are all Miyuki Delicas. I have dyed Silverline Bright Fuchsia, Chalk White, Opaque Dark Cranberry, and Opaque Chartreuse AB. Just to keep it simple, I'm going to call this pink, white, red, and light green. We'll also need some beading thread and a beading needle. I like to use the Eslon Fire thread in the color Crystal, and this is a 4-pound thread. You could also use a 6-pound thread if that's what you have. And then I like to use a size 10 beading needle, but a size 11 or a size 12 would work too. For implements, I like to hold on to my thread at the end of the video with my long nose pliers, and then I cut my thread with scissors. And I'm going to show you how I use the fire method to end the tail in the beginning of this video. We will also need one of these plastic crafting ornaments. We're not going to use it in today's video, but if you're going to complete the entire ornament throughout the next 4, well actually there's 5 videos for this series, then you want to get your hands on one of these before we start part 5. So this is a 2.36 inch plastic crafting ornament, and I buy them in bulk at my local hobby store, but if you just want to get your hands on one of them or 2 of them, then you can always find them in my Etsy shop. All right, let's thread our needle with 3 feet of thread and then we can get started. So I've threaded my needle and now I'm ready to pick up my first 3 beads. Let's pick up 3 pink beads. And then we're going to take these beads and pull them down to the bottom of our thread, leaving about a 6-inch tail. Now let's tie a square knot. So we'll cross over on top and then pull our tail through. And then we'll cross over on top again and pull our tail through. Now, keeping your 2 fingers in the lower loop, the one that has the beads in it, I'm going to tug on the tail and the long thread until that top loop turns into a knot. Now, I'm not going to touch the tip to the flame, but I am going to get it super duper close so that it melts. And it turns the end into this little teeny knot. So now, keeping our fingers in the loop, I'm going to be pulling on the long thread and twisting the loop at the same time until that little knot on the end of the tail reaches the long thread. Now I'm going to take my thumbnail and I'm just going to pull that knot all the way down to the beads. And it turns the beads into this little teensy triangle, and that completes row number 1. Now what we want to do is tug our thread over to one side so that it looks like that knot and the thread is coming out of one of those beads. Now let's pick up 2 red beads. And since it looks like we're coming out of this bead, I'm going to sew through the one that it's not coming out of. And then I'm going to try to get those two new beads to sit right on top of their buddies. Now let's pick up 2 red beads. We're coming out of this bead, so let's sew through the next bead. And once again, I'm going to try to get those beads to sit right on top of their buddies. Now let's pick up 2 red beads. And we're coming out of this bead. So let's sew through the next bead, and this time we're going to sew through its buddy also. So when we sew through 2 beads, that means that we are stepping up, putting our thread in position to start the next row. And so that completes row number 2. Now we get to start row number 3. Let's start with picking up 2 pink beads and sew through the next. Then we'll pick up 1 red bead, and we're coming out of this second bead right here. If you notice, the next bead is set downward a little bit. We're going to skip that downward bead, and we're going to sew through the bead that's poking up. So we're skipping the down bead and sewing through the up bead. Now let's pick up 2 pink beads and sew through the next. Always making sure that our new beads are sitting right on top of their buddies. Let's pick up 1 red, and we'll skip the down bead and sew through the up bead. Now let's pick up 2 pink beads and sew through the next. And now we'll pick up 1 red. This is the last bead in this row. So we're going to skip the down bead and sew through the up, and then also sew through its buddy. Sewing through those last 2 beads, which means that we are ready to start row number 4. Let's start by picking up 2 light green beads and sew through the next. Then 1 pink and sew through the up. 1 pink and sew through the up. 2 light green and sew through the next. 1 pink and sew through the up. 1 pink and sew through the up. 2 light green and sew through the next. 1 pink and sew through the up, and 1 pink and sew through those last 2 beads. And we're just going to continue doing this all around. So row number 5 starts with 2 light green, then 1 red, 1 pink, 1 light green, 1 red and 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 pink, 1 red, 2 light green, 1 light green, 1 pink, and 1 light green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 6. Let's start with 2 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 light green and 1 white, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 2 light green, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 light green, and 1 light green. And sew through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 7. Let's start by adding 2 light green, 1 red, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 2 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 1 red, 2 light green, 1 red, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, and 1 light green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 8. Let's start by adding 2 light green, then 1 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 1 red, 2 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 pink and 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 light green, 1 light green, and 1 light green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 9. Let's start with 2 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 white, 1 light green, one pink and one light green, 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 one red, one light green, one pink, one pink and one light green, one light green, one white, one light green, one red, one light green, one light green, and one pink. Sewing through the last two beads. And now we get to start row number 10. Let's start with 2 light green, one 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 pink, one pink and one light green, one light green, one white, one light green, 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 one red, two light green, one light green, one light green, one red, one light green, one white, 1 light green, one pink, and one pink. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 11. Let's start with 2 light green, one 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 red, two light green, one 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 pink, one pink, two light green, one 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 red, one light green, one red, and one light green. Sewing through the last 2 beads. And now we get to start row number 12. Let's start with 2 light green, one 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 light green, 1 light green, 1 pink, 1 pink, 2 light green, 1 light green, 1 light green, 1 red, 1 light green, 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 1 pink, 1 light green, 2 light green beads, 1 light green, 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 1 pink, 1 pink, and 1 light green. Sewing through the last 2 beads, and that completes our 12 rows for our triangle. So if this is the first video that you've seen of me making these triangle units, you'll see that each unit is a little bit different when it comes to connection beads. We add connection beads on some of the sides, and then some other sides don't have them. In this particular unit, we are not going to have connector beads on this side, but we are going to have them on this side, and we are not going to have them on top. So what we also need to do is cap these corners. So let's cap this corner by adding 1 pink bead. And then what I like to do, because our triangle has a little dent or concave in it, I like to turn over my unit, and then I like to sew through all of these beads on the quadrant line. It's just so much easier to sew through them without picking up any beads. We're going to just travel along that quadrant line, and we're going to end in this bead up here. That's our goal. So let's just sew up through 1 bead at a time, 1 row at a time. And if you don't really want to go through the same beads that I do, that's okay. As long as you're hiding your thread and you're sewing through 1 bead per row and you end up at the top. That's the goal, right? So it's totally up to you. Okay. And this is normally where I ask my question of the day. So we're making a gingerbread man ornament, right? And there's all this candy all around Mr. G, right? Mr. Gingerbread Man. So it got me thinking, I'm actually making this during the month of October, and I haven't yet bought my Halloween candy. And I don't buy my Halloween candy until the night before Halloween, because if I buy it any time before that, I tend to eat a lot of it, and so does the rest of my family. Like, we can't wait. We break into the bags of candy to give to the trick-or-treaters. So my question is, do you do the same? Do you break into the candy? I have candy on my mind. Can you tell? Alrighty. Now I have reached, oh, and put your answer in the comment so I know how many people are just like me, or how many people have so much more restraint than I do. Alrighty. We're up at the top. Let's cap this corner with one pink bead. And now we're going to add connecting beads along this side. And so we're going to start with one light green, then one pink, one light green, 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 and one light green. Now we have arrived at our third and last corner, so let's cap it with one pink bead. Now let's sew up 6 beads along that quadrant line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now we are in position to do what I like to call the zigzag. We are strengthening the last bead that we just put on so that it's nice and secure there and it won't get loose. So we're coming out of the top of this green bead. Let's sew down, going in the opposite direction, the bead right next to it. Then we will sew up the bead right next to that one, making a little zigzag. And now let's sew up the white bead, and then we'll sew up the red bead also. And now let's do one more zigzag. We're coming out of the top of this red bead. Let's sew down the green bead right next to it, and then up the white bead next to that one. Then sew up the red bead that's right above that, and up the white bead that's right above that. And now I am super confident that this last bead and all of the last ones that we added are not going to get loose while we're connecting our triangles. So let's cut our thread. Holding onto our thread with our long nose pliers, and then getting the scissors as close to the bead as possible without cutting the bead. Just snip off that thread. And that completes your number 1 unit. And we only need 5 of these, so go ahead and do this 4 more times, and I will see you in a sec. That was so much fun. Thank you so much for being here with me today and beading along with me. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell button so you're notified when the next video comes out. I can't wait to see you there. Thanks for watching.